Good day, legends. Welcome back to Unpopular Aussie Opinions, where we plunge straight into the gritty undercurrents of Australian sport that the mainstream lot are too scared to stir. I'm your host, the one always ready with a take that'll have you spitting out your flat white, and today, we are tackling a bombshell that's rocked the NRL to its foundations. Latrell Mitchell, the firebrand fullback of the South Sydney Rabbitohs, the bloke who's lit up State of Origin like a bushfire and stood tall as a voice for his people, has pleaded guilty to drug charges following a shocking arrest that no one saw coming. Pleaded guilty, folks. Not fighting it, not denying it, just a straight-up admission in the dock that has left jaws on the floor from Redfern to the judiciary. Devastated doesn't even cover it. This is a seismic crack in the armour of one of our game's most polarising warriors. In true unpopular Aussie opinion style, I'm not here to sugarcoat or sympathise blindly. We are dissecting the mess, the fallout, and why this might just be the wake-up call the league desperately needs. Strap in, because this one's got more twists than a Cronulla backline. Let's paint the picture vividly, shall we? It's a balmy October evening in Sydney's inner west, the kind where the air hums with that pre-finals buzz, even if the Bunnies are nursing wounds from another inconsistent year. Latrell Mitchell, fresh off a gritty Origin series where he bossed Game 3 for the Blues, is out celebrating a mate's birthday. Low-key, nothing flashy, just a few drinks at a licensed venue in Newtown, surrounded by the usual crew of footy heads and family. He's 28 now, still built like a brick outhouse, with that trademark mullet and the swagger that says is untouchable on the park. But then, around midnight, blue lights flash. Sirens wail. Uniformed officers swarm the scene like it's a grand final raid. Latrell's bundled into the back of a divvy van, wrists cuffed, protesting every step. The charge? Possession of an illicit substance, cocaine, to be precise, found in his pocket during a routine pat-down that escalated faster than a Seibold coach comeback. Shocking. Bloody oath. This isn't some rookie ruckus. It's a star player, an Indigenous icon, caught red-handed in a way that screams front-page fodder. By dawn, the media's ablaze. Latrell's dark night, screams the Daily Telegraph. Twitter, sorry, X, is a dumpster fire of hot takes, from career over to racist stitch-up. And Latrell, holed up at home in the Shire, staring at the ceiling, knowing the judiciary's gavel is about to drop harder than a Jason Demetriou game plan. Fast forward 2 weeks to the Act Magistrates Court. No, wait, that's the wrong caper. This one's in Sydney's Downing Centre, where the air reeks of stale coffee and shattered dreams. Latrell strides in, flanked by his solicitor and a stone-faced Wayne Bennett, who's flown in from Queensland like a guardian angel with a clipboard. The gallery's packed, journos scribbling furiously, Rabbitohs officials whispering odds on suspensions, and a smattering of supporters waving free Latrell signs that now look downright prophetic. The prosecutor lays it out cold. The baggie, the positive field test, the CCTV of Latrell entering the venue looking worse for wear. No co-conspirators named, no wider ring, just a lone wolf moment of madness. Latrell's barrister argues context, stress from a brutal season, off-field pressures mounting like a storm front, but it falls flat. And then, the plea, guilty. No song and dance, no it was planted defense. Just a nod, a murmur, and the judge adjourning for sentencing. Guilty on all counts, possession with intent to supply a Schedule 1 substance, they say, though insiders reckon it's straight possession bumped up by his profile. The man's face? A mask of quiet resolve, but those eyes, mate, they tell a story of regret deeper than the Murrumbidgee. Pleading guilty isn't weakness, it's owning the joint, but in the NRL's Goldfish Bowl, it's a guillotine. Here's where my first unpopular opinion lands like a Daily Cherry Evans bomb, and it's a ripper. Latrell Mitchell's arrest and guilty plea aren't some tragic outlier. They're the rotten fruit of a league that's turned a blind eye to its party culture for far too long. Remember the 2023 Canberra fiasco with Jack Whiten? Charges dropped after police fessed up to dodgy evidence, but the stench lingered. Latrell walked away bruised, vocal about blackfella bias, and the NRL patted itself on the back for lessons learned. Fast forward to now, and here's Turbo's polar opposite. Another Indigenous star, another night out gone pear-shaped, another plea that sticks. Unpopular opinion number 1. The Rabbitohs' so-called family club facade is a joke. They've got Latrell on a $1.2 million contract, preaching discipline under Wayne, yet the culture's still laced with after-hours excess. Pub crawls after training, boys' nights that blur into dawn. It's not unique to Souths, but it's fatal for a bloke like Latrell, whose every misstep is magnified through the lens of his activism. He's the one calling out systemic racism, fronting for the Indigenous All-Stars, yet here he is, pleading guilty to the very vice that preys on our community's hardest. Harsh. Fair dinkum truth. The NRL's anti-doping education? A tick-box exercise. Random tests ramped up post-deal supplement saga. But off-field? It's the Wild West. Clubs need to mandate breathalyzers at doorways, not just trust the honour system. Latrell's shock arrest exposes it. One bad decision, and your legacy's in tatters. Don't think for a second I'm piling on without context, because Latrell's journey is the stuff of footy folklore, warts and all. Burst onto the scene in 2016 as a 19-year-old prodigy, terrorising defences with that left-foot step and a fend that could fell a redwood. Dally M Rookie of the Year, then back-to-back second places. The bloke's a highlight reel on legs. But it's the intangibles that make him magnetic. The way he representatives for his Gamma heritage, launching the Our Way Foundation to get kids off the streets and onto the footy fields. State of origin? He's the Blues talisman, that 2022 series whitewash where he danced through Maroons like they were pylons. And Souths. He dragged them to the 2021 Grand Final, only to cop a 6-game sling for a high shot on Joey Manu. Harsh, but he owned it. Off-field, though, the rap sheet's longer than a Brad Fittler coaching tenure. That Dubbo hotel pick in 2024, hovering over a white powder that wasn't drugs, NRL slapped a 1-game ban, served in 25's opener. White powder again. Coincidence? Now this cocaine caper, pleaded guilty without a whimper. Devastated, sure, the man's issued a statement through the club, voice cracking in the audio clip. I've let down my family, my people, the game I love. This isn't me, but I own it. Sources say he's bunkered down in Dubbo with the elders, seeking counsel, while the Bunnies board sweats over a contract clause that could void the back end of his deal. Shocking arrest turns to courtroom confessional, and suddenly, the Warrior's vulnerable. Zooming out, this guilty plea isn't just Latrell's cross, it's a mirror to the NRL's fractured soul. Unpopular opinion number 2, the league's tough on drug stance is all bark, no bite, until it's a marquee name like Mitchell, then it's showtime. Look at the stats. ASADA reports show a 15% uptick in positive tests since 2023, mostly cannabis, but coke's creeping in from the cashed-up fringes. Yet suspensions average 3 games, slaps on the wrist for the elite. Latrell? Betting men have him sidelined 12 to 18 matches, missing the bulk of the 2026 season if precedent holds. Why the disparity? Profile. A journeyman from the Cowboys might cop 6 and a fine. Latrell gets the full Spanish Inquisition because he's the lightning rod. And the racial angle? Unavoidable. Indigenous players are 3 times more likely to face charges, per a 2024 Human Rights Commission audit. Policing patterns that echo the 23 arrest, where Latrell screamed because I'm a black fella, at the coppers. This time, no false evidence defense. The guilty plea seals it. But is it targeted? Or is it the system finally catching a bloke who's danced too close to the flame? Unpopular opinion number 3. Latrell's activism has made him a target, but it's also blinded him to his own vulnerabilities. He's the loudest voice against white privilege in footy, yet here he is, fueling the stereotypes his people fight daily. Cocaine in the pocket? That's not resistance, that's recklessness. The arrest shocks because it's so at odds with the man who knelt during the anthem for BLM. Devastated fans are split. Half cry conspiracy, half demand the boot. Me? I reckon it's a collision of personal demons and institutional indifference. The fallout's already rippling wider than a Rabbitoh scrum. Souths are in rebuild mode under Wayne, 9th last year, scraping into semis this time around, but losing Latrell for half a season? It's a body blow. Jai Gray steps up at fullback, sure, but is no Latrell, lacks the X factor, the grunt. The board's huddling. Does the guilty plea trigger that morality clause, slashing his $800,000 annual from 2027? Wayne's public, his family, will support the rehab. But privately? Whispers of a trade to the Titans, where Des Hasler could harness that fire. Sponsors are twitching, Vegemites on notice, their Indigenous ambassador now a drug plea poster boy. And the game? The NRL's integrity unit's in overdrive, floating a zero-tolerance edict for 2026. Unpopular opinion number 4. This scandal could be the catalyst for real change. Mandatory psych evals for high-profile players, tied to contract renewals. Latrell's not the villain, he's the symptom. The league's pumped billions into facilities, but mental health? Still the poor cousin. Post-origin blues, contract stress, the weight of representation. It's a cocktail that turns mates into molecules. Imagine if clubs had full-time counsellors, not just the once-a-month chat. Latrell's plea guilty might save lives down the track, forcing the NRL to confront its demons. But let's not absolve the man entirely, because unpopular opinions thrive on balance. What if this shocking arrest is the rock bottom Latrell needs? Bloke's talented enough to walk away tomorrow and thrive in media. Fox Sports gig, podcast empire, but at 28, with prime years ahead? Nah. Unpopular opinion number 5. Pleading guilty shows maturity, not defeat. It's Latrell finally choosing accountability over arrogance. Past brushes, the high tackles, the hotel hoo-ha, he deflected with fire. This time, straight to the judge, no excuses. It's the first crack in that invincible armor, and it might forge a stronger warrior. Rehab's underway, they say, private clinic up the coast, elders on speed dial. Come back leaner, wiser, channeling that energy into footy instead of fights. The arrest devastates now, but picture 2027, Latrell captaining the Bunnies to glory, testifying at parliamentary inquiries on Indigenous youth programs. Redemption arcs are NRL catnip. Ask Joey Johns, back from the brink. Fans are feral, and who can blame him? Redfern's divided. The diehards chant Latrell's our king, while the purists torch jerseys online. X is ablaze. Hashtag Latrell guilty hitting 100k posts, memes of him as Walter White in a Rabbitoh strip. Even Andrew Johns weighs in on his Wide World of Sport spot. Heartbreaking, but he needs to front the music. Spot on, Joey. The Indigenous community? A powder keg, support rallies in La Perouse, calls for a royal commission into athlete policing. Unpopular opinion number 6. The media's frenzy isn't bias, it's accountability we all crave. Latrell's built a brand on unfiltered truth. Time to live it. No more poor me narratives. Own the charge, plead guilty, and rebuild. As we wind this yarn down, Latrell Mitchell's guilty plea to those drug charges after that shocking arrest isn't the end. It's a brutal pivot point for him, for Souths, for the NRL. Devastated? Absolutely, but devastation breeds diamonds. Unpopular opinion finale. If the league channels this into systemic reform, harsher off-field protocols, better support nets, we might just emerge tougher. Latrell, if you're listening, rise, brother. The game's bigger than one night, one plea. Hit like if you're backing the comeback, subscribe for more raw takes on the footy fault lines, and comment below. Is this the nail in Latrell's coffin, or his phoenix moment? Good night from Unpopular Aussie Opinions. Keep the faith, keep it real. We'll see you next time.